That's where you'll find me. With starlight in your eyes, you set the world on fire. I'm on the stars. That's where you'll find me. With starlight in your eyes, you set the world on fire. Join me on this neon Moveset.
No matter how many times I've listened to that song over the past, I think it's like been 3 months or more now, it never gets old for me. But hello, everybody. Hope you're all doing well on this lovely Saturday afternoon. Hello, Emerald, Dar, Mark, Pikmin. How am I? I'm doing alright. I woke up with like a weird, like, dried blood stain down my arm and I don't know where it came from. But other than that, yeah, I'm fine. But yes, today is the beginning of Challenger number 2, or Challenger under construction. And this one was a pretty difficult, oh no, I'm fine. But this character was kind of difficult for me to sell on. Because one thing I really wanted was a character that matched the current craze that I'm having right now, and that's basically just ever since Neon Odyssey was unveiled, I've just been enraptured in so much sci-fi that I want a character from a sci-fi-ish setting and there's a lot of good ones to pick from. I will be unveiling them in just a couple of minutes. Just want to make sure people have a chance to get in here beforehand. What time is it? 3:37? Say about 3 minutes. This character that I'm covering has been covered by other people before. This isn't anything, you know, brand new. But it's a character you don't hear talked about very much anymore. They've basically been, I don't want to say forgotten about, but their franchise is just turned into a franchise with so many more potential Smash characters that they've kind of just fallen to the wayside, and yeah. I can't remember the last time I ever heard this character be brought up in Smash speculation. I'm sure there's some people that do. I mean, Ridley's already in the game. What kind of sci-fi are we talking about? I mean, sci-fi. With hints of science fantasy, you can also say. Like, there are a lot of things about the world that are just not inherently explained. Don't ever really get a full explanation. Can you give us a hint? Yes, I can. The background color. Well, Star Wars is more of a space opera slash science fantasy than it is sci-fi, to be honest with you. I'd say it's probably closer to Star Trek in terms of the way the world works and all the technology that's a part of it. Among Us. No, it's not Among Us. Even though I have been singing on that moveset for a while. What's the difference? Usually it comes down to explanations and logistics. Like, everything in Star Trek, for example, has a very clear-cut explanation as to how things function in that universe. Yet in Star Wars, a lot of it is kind of just made-up fantasy bullshit. And there's no logistical explanation for how a lot of things work. Like, how does a lightsaber, a beam of light, know to stop a certain distance away from the hilt of the blade? I'm sure there is an explanation for that, but to be honest, do I fucking care? No. Alright, I think I should just rip off the band-aid and explain, or better yet, show off who this next character is. This is a character that I've gotten requests for before. Again, not as much anymore because of newer games that have come out, but they are a legitimately awesome character with a potentially awesome moveset. So, the character that I will be covering for Challenger Under Construction number 2 is Elma from Xenoblade Chronicles X. She was exactly what I was looking for when I went looking for characters. And Xenoblade X is a game that has been sadly forgotten to time because games like Xenoblade 3 and Xenoblade Genesis now exist. For those who don't know who she is, Elma is the secondary protagonist of Xenoblade Chronicles X, alongside Cross, aka, you know, the Avatar character. Yeah, a lot of people tend to have forgotten about her because her game, despite having a definitive edition that came out last year, is again, it's kind of just been overlooked and forgotten the time, pretty much. But yes, Elma is a character that's classified in her game as a full metal jaguar, and she fights using 2 swords and 2 guns, which is like one of the coolest concepts for a character you could possibly ask for, and is extremely unique compared to a lot of the characters in Smash. I actually got back into playing Xenoblade Chronicles X myself recently. I bought it on the Switch 2, and they got the Switch 2 edition. Seeing that game brought in 60 FPS is kind of insane. But, I've not played Xenoblade at all, so I don't know what I can add. All you need to really know is that she's a really cool character. I don't want to give away any major story spoilers because there are major story spoilers with her. But essentially, she's the secondary protagonist. Some would call her the full-on protagonist. She's the commander of her unit of Blade, which is essentially... Okay, maybe I should start from the beginning. To put it simply, there was a massive alien war over Earth, and Earthlings had to get the fuck out. So they launched a bunch of arcs out into space in order to escape Earth before it got blown to pieces. And the arc that the player character and Elma were on, the White Whale, ends up being intercepted by the same aliens some months after the destruction of Earth, and they crash land on a planet called Mira, and they end up establishing civilization there. There's a lot I could explain, but there's also a lot of spoilers. All you need to know is that it's basically a game that takes place on an alien world, where you're just trying your hardest to survive, and you need to find something called the Lifehold before a clock in New Los Angeles, which is the name of the civilization, runs out. Thematically and tonally, it is extremely different from any of the other Xenoblade games. I'm uncultured because I didn't know who this was, and I still don't. All you really need to know is that she's a really cool character with a really cool kit. Instead, there are classes in Xenoblade Chronicles X, and the protagonist can turn into any class they want. But Elma's class is designated as a full male jaguar. They fight with 2 swords, and they fight with 2 guns. They specialize in dealing rapid damage, hitting people from behind for massive damage. Elma has 2 abilities themed specifically for her called Shadow Strike and Ghost Factory. Is Xenoblade X even in the same timeline as the others? From what has been said, I believe it's basically like its own universe, but has specific aspects of Xenoblade in it. I guess they never really planned for there to be a Xenoblade 2 back when Xenoblade 1 came out, and this was basically just them making a spiritual successor to Xenoblade 1. There's some aspects that are similar, there's some aspects that are completely different, but it still has the same kind of combat. There are a couple of races that are the exact same, like the Nopon are still there. From what I've heard, the extra chapter of the Definitive Edition tries to tie Xenoblade X more to the main plot of the main series. I don't know what you're talking about creating a model. This model is for her appearance in Xenoblade 2. And yes, she appears in Xenoblade 2 as a unlockable blade that you can get. Much like Shulk and the Monado. But another big thing about Xenoblade X that's not in any of the other Xenoblade games is, aside from the blend of every character has 2 weapons, like you get a melee weapon and you get a ranged weapon, later on in the game, you also get access to something you also get access to literal Gundams called Skells. And they get their own themed abilities, stuff like that. And you get to take on bigger and stronger monsters with Skells compared to when you're on the ground. Surprisingly, compared to a lot of the other Xenoblade games, the power scaling in X is surprisingly very tame. Like, aside from the extra chapter of X, there's no, like, godlike power figures in Xenoblade X. It is very much themed that you are basically just, like, humans trying to survive. And yeah, that's one thing, Pikmin. 100%, the Skells are going to be saved for the Final Smash, because anybody that's played Xenoblade X will know that those things are fucking enormous. Like, characters on average probably stand close to, like, 6 feet. Skells on average are about 5 times taller than the player characters, if not more. Like, they're really big. Yeah, Skells are the mechs. They're fun to use in the game, but their power scaling compared to, like, when you're on the ground is insanity. I would argue that Elma is 100% going to be... Actually, you know what? Let's bring up an actual document so we can actually start working on notes for Elma. Alright, we got Elma. Blade Chronicles X. Do I think Elma will be in Smash 6? No, I think that will be Noah and Mio will be in Smash 6, because they are from a numbered game in the series, and Xenoblade Chronicles X is 11 years old this December. Elma is unironically one of the coolest characters that has been ever omitted specifically because of bad timing. I'm trying to think, did they even put any Xenoblade X music in Smash Ultimate? Because I don't think they did. Which is also a massive, like, missed opportunity, because Xenoblade X has some fantastic music. Like every other Xenoblade game. What Xenoblade game is my favorite? Probably 2. I like them all for different reasons, and I find it pretty hard to compare Xenoblade X to later games in the series, because it is very much thematically built off of Xenoblade 1, which already had, like, a distinct playstyle from the rest of the series to begin with. Only Xenoblade 1 and 2 music. That fucking sucks, man. Like, you couldn't put in Black Tar or The Key We've Lost? Like, just a couple of tracks. I can't imagine it's fucking music licensing issues. They're made by the same composer. Anyways, Elma from Xenoblade Chronicles X fights with a pair of swords and dual submachine guns. Very fast rushdown fighter. I think with the way that she's built, the way that Full Metal Jaguar is built specifically in Xenoblade X, I think that it makes the most sense for Elma to be a very fast and aggressive character. Xenoblade combat isn't exactly the greatest gauge for how a character should be playstyle-wise, because Xenoblade combat, for the most part, is very slow. You move sometimes, and positioning is important, but no character really is like running around doing flippy-dippy shit in a Xenoblade fight. I think Xenoblade 2 is my favorite because of the gameplay, environments, and music, but they're all pretty close. I think Xenoblade 2 is probably my favorite as well. I have not played all the way through Xenoblade 1. I think I got like 70% of the way through Xenoblade 1. Same with Xenoblade X the last time I played it. I think I got like 2 missions in after getting my skill, and then I just kind of dropped it for one reason or another. I need to go, unfortunately, as I have to wake up very early tomorrow. Have a nice stream and a good day. Oh, okay, Mart, have a good one, man. Nope, sorry, Crimson. Not even Unbreakable. Pretty sure it's called Unbreakable. One thing I'm definitely gonna say is that she's light. Like, we're gonna probably give her a range of like 85 to 88 weight value. She is very much a DPS character in Xenoblade X. How many fighter archetypes are there? There are 5 main archetypes and a bunch of sub-archetypes underneath them. Those sub-archetypes are just called traits, like character traits. So I want... I want a aggressive, pressure-heavy character that reflects style of gameplay that she sports in Xenoblade X. Hit many attacks, hit multiple times. Weak overall damage output. But surprisingly explosive with the right positioning. I'm doing fine, King. The Ether Jet stuff in the Switch 2 version of Xenoblade 1 is genuinely extremely fun. I saw, like, aren't there, like, literal, like, Mario Kart races now in Xenoblade 1? Watch. This is all just setting up so that they can put Shulk in Mario Kart World. And hello, Joe. Hello, my gamer. Main weapon of choice is the... What is the name of... Okay, so there's no, like, special blade of power in Xenoblade X. And I know in Xenoblade 2, they gave Elma some random sword that you unlock at, like, level 40. Oh, I see, okay. Her main weapon of choice is called the Archetype Rouses. For those curious as to what that, sorry, voice crack. For those wondering what the hell that is, it's these. They're essentially just like katanas. They're basically just futuristic katanas. Of course, those models don't exist, so I had to just give her regular katanas in her artwork. Granted, the roses in general just look like katanas, so these work. Here are katana-like short swords. Cover a moderate range. Or more so. Attack quickly without sacrificing... combo potential. This is actually going to be fun to watch since I made a Smash Bros. News set with Cross from Xenoblade X years ago. I can't wait to see how you handle Elma. I feel Elma's probably way more straightforward to handle than Cross is. Because unless you go with like Samurai Gunner, or whatever that class progress tree is, Elma is just one class in the beginning of the game, and she never changes. Architect browsers a pair of katana-like short swords that cover a moderate range, are more designed to attack quickly without sacrificing combo potential. Its blades do not sport any sort of sweet spot and are consistent throughout. To be honest, Street Fighter, Alex from Street Fighter, his playstyle is already pretty close to what Incineroar already is, if he was just a little bit faster. I imagine that he'd just be a quicker, more aggressive Incineroar. C-spawn knock her out. Most of Elma's blade attacks will hit twice. Represent the dual blade aspect. What else? She is by far the fastest member of the Xenoblade cast in Smash. All while sporting the best jump height and the highest gravity. This is designed to mimic the gravity / exploration on Mira, the planet where Xenoblade X takes place. For those that don't know, in Xenoblade X, characters are notably faster than any other cast in the game. And when they jump like fucking like 10 feet into the air. There's also no fall damage. Even if there is lore reasons of why this is a thing, is Elma going to be faster than Mithra? That's a good question. How fast is Mithra compared to the rest of the cast? Oh, Mithra's the 5th fastest character in the game. Okay, I'm just gonna put this in brackets. This accounts for taking Pyra and Mithra's speed and averaging it out. So technically she's slower than Mithra, but if you take Pyra's speed and Mithra's speed and you find average between it, and that's the character's overall speed, then Elma's faster than that by a notable margin. I don't think that Elma should be the 5th fastest character in the game. Do I have any ideas what her specials are going to be? Oh yeah, her specials... Surprisingly, a lot of Elma is very clear-cut in what she can do. It's just picking and choosing what she can do, because she can do a lot. Yeah, 5th fastest with the fastest initial dash out of everyone. So we're gonna say that that's like if you take an average speed of Pyra and Mithra, you put it together, then Elma's faster than that. I want to say that she's probably going to be... Let's just give her speed. So, I think that she should be somewhere like around right here. I'm thinking of making her just a smidgen faster than Roy. Like she'd be the 14th fastest character in the game. Slightly behind Cloud, or maybe I'll even make her above Cloud. I could just tie her with Banjo and Kazooie, which is kind of insane that Banjo and Kazooie are the 12th fastest characters in the game. just say she ranks just outside top 10. What? You know, that's a good question. What is the airspeed of Pyra and Mithra? Like, how good are they in the air? Okay, Mithra's got an airspeed of 1.22. That puts her at 11th place. That's pretty good. And Pyra's 1.1, which ties her with Joker in 37th/38th place. She sports better overall airspeed, air acceleration. Yeah, Mithra only sports an air acceleration of 0.06. That puts her like near the bottom. So I guess the idea is we'll give Elma better air acceleration. We'll call this part 2. Elma's ground speed would be around... If I want to make her the same as Banjo, it'd be 2.18 or 2.18. That's just below Charizard and Ridley. Also, I'm gonna put this here. While she also makes use of dual submachine guns, these are reserved for specials use, as all of her normals are done with the use of her twin blades. Elma is meant to feel like a character. It's very difficult to peel off of you, much like how it's very difficult to get her off of an opponent in Xenoblade X, thanks to her ability to basically remove her aggro using auras. For those wondering what that means, all the classes in Xenoblade X have what are called auras that basically just give them passive buffs. And one of the Full Metal Jaguar's auras basically just makes it so that if you attack from behind, the attacks you deal have no aggro effect on the monster that you're fighting. Ghost Factory is also technically an aura, although it's gonna have to be rethemed in order to, you know, work better in a fighting game. Let's talk about something that's a little bit more important, and that's Elma's character mechanic. Elma's character mechanic is a built-in how do I want to word this? Elma's character mechanic is overdrive. For those of you that don't know what overdrive is, in Xenoblade X, there is no team attacks like there is in all the other Xenoblade games. So instead what happens is you get something called overdrive. What overdrive essentially does in Xenoblade X is allow you to basically use your abilities in a rapid succession, and if you deal enough damage, sometimes it can extend it, basically turning into like an endless stream of heavily increased damage. But in order to activate overdrive, and you don't even get overdrive until like at least like almost halfway through the fucking game. In order to activate overdrive, you need to accumulate 3,000 TP, which is essentially what's used to use specific TP-themed abilities. It's also used for stuff like you need 3,000 to revive a teammate. You need 1,000 each in order to use each TP ability. Overdrive is essentially a massive commitment that requires a lot of resources, and I want that to feel the exact same way here. So her main mechanic is overdrive, which will grant her improved frame data and recovery on all of her attacks for a limited amount of time once enough damage has been accumulated. This buff will be the player can activate this buff by inputting down special once their overdrive meter is full. Anything else that I'm missing that's of note? Oh, I think I have one. To play into her appearance in future titles, aka Xenoblade 2, is a rare blade. Some of Elma's abilities have been rethemed to sport shadow/dark visual effects to make them stand out more. Thanks to the fact Elma is classified as a dark type blade in Xenoblade 2, which this model here on the left is actually from Xenoblade 2. Also, this design was redesigned. This redesign was given to her by the actual lead character designer of Xenoblade Chronicles X, so... be completely honest with you, I don't really know how much really changed. I think it's just the hairstyle. Anyways, let's give a proper explanation of character mechanic. Overdrive. Elma will come equipped with the built-in meter system known as the TP meter. With this accumulating charge for every hit she deals and maxing out once she deals a set amount of damage, this percent will increase when she is in the lead and decrease when she is behind. Much like how Sephiroth's one-winged mode works. Once enough meter has been accumulated, Elma can activate her drive with her down special, increasing the recovery. Sorry, no, not increasing. Increasing means that they're slower. Decreasing the recovery speed, recovery of her, of all her attacks, and making her combo game all the more dangerous. If the player deals enough damage while Overdrive is active, then Overdrive will reset and essentially double its duration. This will reward skilled Elma player for taking proper advantage of the buff provided. Is it dealing damage or taking damage? If the former, then it's like an inverse of Sephiroth. Well, it's more so that it's the concept of it takes less time to come out if you're behind, and it takes more time to come out if you're ahead. Make her a truly deadly fighter in the hands of a skilled player. Let's write down the weapons list. The archetype Roses. Her main weapon of choice. A pair of katana-like blades that provide her with solid range. While also sporting consistency throughout the blades themselves. Twin submachine guns. Pair of short-range short to mid-range Submachine guns are usually known for being dog shit in anything beyond short range. Weapons that mixed in with Elma's swordplay to create openings and extend combos. Her guns will be relegated to her specials slot. As all of her normals are using her swords. And now I'll just put this here. She does have a skull. A large exoskeleton mech. Elma will be utilizing during her final smash. Thematically, I want the scale to be used by Elma in very much the same way that Jin Saltame utilized Blodia in the Versus series. For those that are curious as to what that means, I'll show you. So, Jin's entire thing in the Versus series is that essentially he's super anime man and he has a giant fucking robot. And this robot will actually assist him for certain attacks. Like, I think the most iconic example is he literally just calls it in and has him just punches. Sadly, the scales are not that big. But I think a super that looks something similar to this legitimately works, because in Xenoblade X, every now and again when you're using your skull, you get something called cockpit time. And essentially what happens is it cuts to an interior shot of your character in the cockpit of their skull, dealing damage to the opponent that you're fighting. And I think that something like that is perfect for a final smash. Actually, you know what? You're right, Pikmin. I should word that too. If Elma is KO'd, the overdrive meter resets. Regardless of whether the player has used charge or not. Let's just list that Elma will also mix in with her sword play. She'll mix in kick attacks with her sword play in order to make her feel more acrobatic / nimble. So, her strengths. She's very fast / mobile. Excellent combo game that is accentuated her character mechanic. And she's got fantastic burst options. And make her very difficult to lock down. While her weaknesses is that she's light, easy to launch. I'd say her disadvantage state is probably pretty poor because of her increased gravity. Fast fall speed, high gravity. And she sports no options for long-range play, and she must stay closer forwards in order to deal maximum damage, putting herself at notable risk. Playstyle, of course, rush down. Combo-centric / mix-up heavy, to play into the fact that Xenoblade is very positional when it comes to attacks, and certain attacks working better at certain positions. And I'd say her ease of use is probably a 3 out of 5. That's a hello, Tomo. Hope you're doing well. Alright, her specials. Her specials are probably the easiest thing to lay out. I'm just gonna put special, side special, no, not up special, and down special. Perfect. Her neutral special, this is where we're going to relegate her guns. But we're going to do this in a unique way. We're going to call this what am I going to call this? We're going to call it gunfire, but we're also going to mix in apologies, I need to bring up her entire list of abilities. We're gonna label, we're also gonna put Executioner. And Sliding Slinger underneath this. And the way this works, we're essentially putting all the gun attacks under a single button. Alright, so Elma will pull out dual submachine guns, fire in front, self, creating a cone, rapid hitting damage that will only flinch she is close to her foes. She can hold attack for a total 2 seconds before being forced to reload. And while firing, she can perform one of 3 different maneuvers in order to mix up foes, either get the jump on those looking to pressure her, or jump out of the way of danger. Holding either forwards or backwards while firing will have Elma form a somersault leap in the chosen direction, all while continuing to fire, allowing her to either advance or retreat while keeping an active hitbox and allowing her to potentially catch openings outside of her blade's range. She can also slide along the ground by holding down, which allow her to pass through shields and escape a corner and escape the corner if necessary. If performed in the air, Elma will fire in a circle around herself, dealing rapid damage to all foes in the area of effect. The cost of high damage scaling and low shield pressure. Is there anything else I want to add to this? Damage scaling essentially means that when you mix it in with other attacks, it does very, very little damage. Like a very high damage scaling means that it basically does very, very little damage overall. Especially when mixed in with other attacks. I think that's it for that. Okay, perfect. Side special, we're going to give her 100 shells. Although we're going to theme this a little bit differently than the way it's themed in Xenoblade X. In Xenoblade X, 100 shells just has her do a shit ton of like ranged blade attacks. And it's honestly a little bit boring. So the way we're going to work it here in this moveset is Elma will prepare to rush forward. Is a series of shadow clones will rush out in front of her, traveling in one of 3 directions, which are straightforward, and angle up into the air, essentially a 45-degree angle. And almost straight up into the air. And depending on which direction Elma's player holds the control stick, Elma will either reappear in one of the 3 locations and attack with a powerful double blade slash, or she will remain in place and simply do nothing as a feint. If you want an example of what I'm talking about and how this could work, let me to pull up a picture for you. Because I know that I'm not exactly the greatest at explaining things. And a picture is worth 1,000 words. If you want an example of how something like this would work, I think a perfect place to look is Makoto's asteroid vision from BlazBlue. Essentially, it is a multi-purpose tool for approaching and making combos. You get to essentially choose one of the 3 directions. You can also stop, appear behind somebody, and what have you. Essentially, that's kind of what I'm looking for here. As a matter of fact, when rushing forward, you can also choose to either appear in front of or behind the opponent if she's close enough. A high-risk, high-reward special move that is greatly affected by the use of overdrive as this turns a relatively unsafe attack into a move that is not only safe on block, but can also become one of the game's best whiff punishing tools. So how fast Elmo will be able to recover out of it. I imagine that for fainting, she would essentially just like warp back to where she was when she started the attack. Her recovery, we're gonna give her the first of her staple attacks, and that is Shadow Strike. A simple recovery option that will have Elma perform a rising... Actually, no. Simple recovery option will have Elma high up into the air, disappearing into the shadows, mid-jump, before reappearing and performing a falling blade strike, similar to how she performs Shadow Strike in Xenoblade Chronicles. I'm just gonna say Xenoblade X. Easier that way. Let me see if I can give you a proper example of what that looks like. Because as I said, I have been playing Xenoblade X, so I do have footage record of it. Again, it's adding like dark themed stuff to an attack that isn't like that in the actual game. Oh, perfect. So basically, this is what Shadow Strike looks like in actual Xenoblade X. So basically, when she does the leap upward, she'd disappear for a brief moment, and then once she's at the apex, she'd reappear and she'd attack with dark themes around the blades and stuff like that. That's basically how it works. In a sense, it kind of could be like a teleport aether. While invisible. While invisible, Elma becomes immune to all forms of damage. It can only be knocked out of this attack once she reappears. Sorry. Either once she reappears or before the initial jump. There's a 6-frame startup window. Hitting foes at the apex of the jumping strike will have Elma spike foe into the abyss, allowing her to use this as a very potent edge guarding tool if she positions herself correctly. Essentially just a nice retheming of how Shadow Strike works in her actual game, while trying to mix in a lot of the extra visuals that they gave to her in Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Next up, her down special is the second of her exclusive abilities, sorry, Ghost Factory. And to put it simply, it's a counter. Elma will enter a counter state. She slowly walks forward, surrounded on either side of herself by a pair of ghost-like copies. Jeffo hits her in this counter state. She and the copies disappear, or reappearing in a location chosen by the player, and performing a powerful counter attack. With this having a series of shadows appear around the foe first, so that they aren't aware of which direction Elma is going to launch them initially. Now let me word that better. She should be hitting this counter state. Elma and her copies will disappear. Before surrounding the foe. How do I want to word this? Essentially, she walks forward very slowly, which is exactly how she uses Ghost Factory in Xenoblade X. Xenoblade X's Ghost Factory is essentially a evasion buff that, while it is being charged / being activated, there's a long animation where Elma cannot be hit at all. Jeffo hit her in this counter state. Before reappearing in a circle around the foe and preparing shit. out a counter attack. The player can choose which direction they want to launch the bow in by holding the direction on the control stick, and once chosen, the real Elmo will appear in the place of one of the copies and deliver a powerful counterattack that will launch away all foes in its area of effect. So essentially how this works is she activates the counter state. If you hit her, she disappears along with the copies, and all of a sudden, like a series of 4 like shadowy copies surround you, and they all look like they're going to hit you at once. Depending on which direction you hold, Elmo will then reappear. The actual Elmo will then reappear in one of those 4 locations and actually perform the counterattack. Down special is also used to activate overdrive, but once overdrive is active, the player can still make use of Ghost Factory by inputting down special again. With it even gaining an extra, with it even gaining a buff in the way of the copies, adding on extra damage as they attack the same time as Elma. Well, I imagine that the way it would work is that they're like heavily slowed down. They go for the hit, oh, they're like caught in like very, very slow motion. Essentially, they're guaranteed to get hit, pretty much. It's themed a lot like the way Shulk's counter works, where they're slowed down before they get hit. And of course, for her final smash, we gotta have Skell Overdrive. Elma will summon her Skell onto the field. Which will appear behind her. And unleash a sweeping blade strike. Its beam saber. This all foes hit by this attack blocked into a cinematic final smash, which will have Elma hop into the Skell and unleash a barrage of mixed weaponry on the foe, all while the camera shifts to the interior of the Skell's cockpit, show Elma's POV of the beatdown. This is a Final Smash that is heavily themed off of this right here, the Bloatia Vulcan. Once the attack is concluded, all foes will be launched away. For Elma exits the Skell and it flies off screen. Final Smash can catch 4 people at a time, while any additional fighters in the stage will be harmed by the first and final hit of the Final Smash. Also, I don't have any models for the Skell, so I hope you're ready for me to use like a Gundam, because it's the closest thing I have. Alright, so that's Elma's Specials Kit. She gets essentially 3 different moves, actually 4 different moves of the neutral special. She gets a tricky mix-up option with her side special, a fairly standard but creative up special, and she has a versatile counter option with her down special. How about we actually work on her normals? How do we want these to look? Because, frankly, a lot of these are probably going to be just made up nothing. Because while there are a bunch of melee attacks that the characters perform in actual Xenoblade X, they're kind of standard and really don't have much visual flair to them. Give me a quick second. Definitely gonna be a lot of like attacks that hit twice. Like slash slash.
You can be the best of the best of the best.
Neutral combo, we're gonna call... We're gonna call it the Blade Commander combination because it sounds nice. Elma will attack in front of herself. With a straight kick. All before following up with a double hitting then ending the combo with a double slash Miralsis, launching bows with moderate force. This combo can be used to jab lock foes stuck on the floor, as well as set up a variety of combos thanks to the buffer window provided by the double hitting properties. The second attack. Elma's legs do not sport a disjoint, however, so this jab combo makes for a 4 spacing option. Her forward tilt we're going to call Twin Cutters. A 2-hit target combo that will have Elma attack out front of herself with a pair of advancing horizontal sword slashes. This allowing her to pressure foes in the neutral, catch buttons with low active frames, and even combo into a variety of options if the player inputs another attack after the first hit. The first hit is also relatively safe on shield thanks to how quickly Elma can cancel into other options, making this a great poke tool against fighters who lack disjoints of their own. I don't think I need to explain that since she's using a sword, almost all of her normals, actually, save for her kicks in her jab combo, pretty much anything that uses her sword is a disjoint. The up tilt we're going to call Jaguar Circlets. Elma will slash up and over her head using one of her blades, covering a solid range and allowing her to perform a myriad of aerial and grounded follow-ups at low to mid percents, including the same attack multiple times, which means it can combo into itself. Do you think Rekka attacks should be kept as specials? Yeah, probably. That's mainly what they're meant to be. Special moves that you input multiple times. Doing the same attack multiple times. Hits once. Very fast on the recovery. And only becomes better with the use of overdrive.
Copy. Understand that this border area is
Her down tilt.
check, please. Swaps up a little bit. Cool.
We'll call this Rolls a sweep. Elma will attack low to the ground, forming a sweeping blow with both of her blades. This pushing her forward. The cost of putting herself risk thanks to the move's low shield pressure and the gap between each attack. This is the riskiest, highest rewarding poke in Elma's kit, and with overdrive active, it can lead into almost any of her aerials at even higher percents. This is not a target combo, which means that choosing to use this attack will lock you into both strikes and put yourself at risk of punishment. So use this when your foe is either trying to get off the floor or is stuck on the ledge. And her dash attack we are going to call Side Slash off of one of her attacks from Xenoblade Chronicles X. Themed off of one of her abilities from Xenoblade Chronicles X. Elma will advance forward, performing stabbing strike with both blades, all before pulling outwards and launching all foes caught by the second hit. Foes struck by the advancing blow will be locked into the launcher, and if blocked, this move does a notable amount of shield damage compared to her other options, but is very unsafe on both block and whiff thanks to the recovery speed. This can be slightly alleviated by overdrive, but oh, hang on a second. This can be slightly alleviated by overdrive. Most characters you'll be able to easily punish her if they block this attack at point blank range. Moving on to smash attacks, we are going to go forward smash is another ability that she can use. Just slit edge.
You can be the best of the best of the best.
More powerful melee abilities from Xenoblade X. This attack will have Elma perform a pair of advancing dual sword slashes. With the first hit, blocking the foe into the launcher and dealing some solid damage compared to her overall low damage kit. A highly committal attack that serves as one of her main kill confirms, thanks to how long the hitbox is active for and how much range the move covers. But its cooldown is long enough for foes to take advantage of Elma if she either whiffs or the move is blocked, even on overdrive. Even when in overdrive. Proper spacing can make this move safe when in overdrive, but characters with fast buttons would still be able to heavily punish her. If you're wondering what this looks like, it essentially... What's the best comparison I can give you? It's strange because there really isn't anything in Smash that I can give you a comparison to. But essentially the way it works is that she does 2 sword slashes forward in an arcing motion, which pushes her forward, and then the second attack is like your equivalent to something like Ike's forward smash, Ganondorf's forward smash, where it's a big arcing slash that covers a lot of range and does a lot of damage. Well, as much range as swords like these can cover. Up smash. We're going to call this... What are we gonna call this? call this one Crimson. No, why don't I give you? Let's work on the way the move works, and then we can come up with a name later. Elma perform a jumping strike into the air with both of her blades. Both slashes covering her hurtbox and launching foes high up into the air on hits. This attack will push Elma off the ground as she performs the move, allowing her to high profile incoming lows and greatly punish foes trying to camp on platforms. With it sporting the quickest startup of all of her smash attacks and the quickest recovery when overdrive is active. Elma is briefly intangible right before she leaps off of the ground, allowing her to win trades. Her player can time the move properly, but foes who block this move at close range will be able to easily punish her with a variety of options. Best used in tandem with your grounded normals when overdrive is active, as they will recover just quick enough for her to combo into this move at lower percents. We're gonna call this move Crimson Rainbow. And her down smash. We're gonna call this Sweep and Clear. Elma will attack around herself with a pair of sword slashes, striking first front of herself before turning around to strike behind herself. This move is fairly similar to the same down smashes that are featured by most sword fighters and other blade wielding characters like Wolf and his claws. great blend of speed and decent reach, allowing Elma to heavily punish poor tech options and deal with foes who are stuck on the ledge. As it strikes just below it, allowing her to potentially 2-frame incoming recovery specials. Alright, aerials, probably one of the easier categories to cover, simply because I feel that they're pretty standard for the most part, even if they're all made up. Are called neutral air commander circlets. Elma will slash around herself using her twin blades, covering a large area and dealing decent damage on hit. This move is mainly used as a shield option and combo extender, thanks in part to how much range Elma covers, with it essentially being a slightly smaller version of Ridley's neutral air. And how many attacks both lead into and can be led into from it. And with overdrive active, this becomes one of Elma's best landing options. And an attack that can even combo into itself against some of the game's larger fighters. It does sport low shield pressure, however, so foes can potentially punish it on block, especially if they're sporting moves that have armor. Like, Lil Max is gonna fucking punch you clean through this and he's not gonna give a rat's ass. Forward air. We're gonna call this the double cut maneuver. Elma will attack front of herself with a pair of vertical slashes from her blades. Dealing moderate damage. Launching foes after the second hit. One of Elma's premier combo tools, thanks to her ability to drag foes, to not only drag foes back to the floor, but also be fairly safe on landing if she lands before the second strike, allowing her to lock foes in their shield, potentially follow up with options like a grab or one of her specials. This becomes even stronger when she has overdrive active, as this goes from a ground to air conversion tool to an attack that is air to air conversion, aka it can combo into itself. If you jump, you use your second jump before the second hit. Although it suffers from a lackluster launch power, and as a result, it's a very unreliable kill option unless you catch your foe off stage with it. Up air, we're going to call this essentially we want this to be an overhead strike. And I'm not gonna lie, coming up with a naming convention for Elma's attacks is a little bit more difficult than it was for Metal Sonic. Believe it or not, even though I name all my attacks usually, I'm usually not the greatest when it comes to naming things. We're gonna call this Arc Protocol. Elma will cut up over her head. Using a single one of her blades. This attack coming out very fast and sporting some of her best juggling potential. Fairly simple attack that will cover Elma's hurt box above and allow her to perform ladder combos if overdrive is active. And even if it's not, it's an excellent way to set up off the top kills if you're playing on a stage with multiple platforms, as this move has a very short recovery time. While it covers a decent range around Elma, however, there is a blind spot directly in front of and below her that will allow foes to potentially punish her if she's caught out of position. And even overdrive won't fix this problem. Her back air. Back air we're going to call Jaguar Bite. Elma will turn around in midair and perform a dual blade strike with this attack sporting higher than average knockback and damage at the cost of slightly slower startup, recovery speed. One of Elma's primary normal kill options and premier aerial kill confirm. This attack is excellent for catching or spacing and foe stuck stage. And with overdrive activated, it becomes an attack that can potentially set up frame traps if her player uses it out of a full hop, as it will instantly cancel the moment she touches the ground. similar to the way that Bowser's forward air instantly cancels of a full hop. I mean, a rushdown character basically is just... A rushdown character is basically the definition for a character that is really good at getting up and close to somebody and staying close to somebody. Usually rushdown characters have really good frame data to make up for the fact that they're made of paper. I'll say that it's not impossible for a rushdown character to be slightly slower, but more often than not, the slowest a rushdown character is in terms of frame data is like middle of the pack. They're never down where like the grapplers are, for example. But it's not uncommon for rushdown characters to have some moves that are slightly slower at the cost of increased reward if they manage to hit them. Down there, we're going to call Cross Cutter. Elmo will perform powerful dual slash below herself strike, spiking foes the point where the blades cross, and dealing some solid damage in the process. Well, there's the thing, Pikmin. If you're having trouble determining an archetype, then they more than likely fall under All-Rounder. Spiking foes at the point where the blades cross and dealing some solid damage in the process. This spike is increased power when overdrive is activated, but it's still... But being a spike, it's generally unsafe to land with and is best used when you have the advantage state. Elma's spike is also slightly below average thanks to her speed. But she can make up for this thanks to how easy it can be to set this up on foes stuck on the ledge. On foes she forces off stage or are stuck on the ledge. Alright, last section we're going to do is the grab and the throws. For grab, Elma will grab her foe by reaching forward with one hand. All while performing a knee strike for her pommel. very standard rushdown character grab, in that its range is short, but comes out quite quickly. Elma's throws range from average at best spacing option to combo starters, and these options will also grow in strength, ability when overdrive is active. Does she sheath her sword during the grab? Well, I imagine that during the grab animation, like, they briefly just pop onto her back, because characters in Xenoblade don't sheath their weapons. They magically just put them on their back and they stay there. Forward throw. We're gonna call this one what are we gonna call this one? Let's just work on how they function first. Forward throw. Elma will knock her foe back using a full body shoulder check. A simple yet useful throw that will allow her to almost immediately chase her foes with her incredible mobility, as the throw's launch angle is very low and can potentially force foes into a knockdown state if they're far enough away from the ledge or playing on stages that have a slight slant. Overdrive active, Elma can lead into a variety of attacks, including moves such as her forward tilt or even a dash attack. As she cancels out of the throw animation notably faster than before. I'm willing to bet, by the way, that Xenoblade Genesis is going to be a DLC. The main character is going to be DLC for Smash 6. I legitimately think we're getting Noah and Mio first. We call the forward throw stagger strike. We're gonna call the up throw escape velocity. Elma will launch her foe up into the air using a quick rising strike from one of her swords. With this serving as one of her combo throws that only becomes better. Overdrive is active. Low to mid percents. She can follow up with moves like neutral air, forward air, and up air, while overdrive will allow her to snag foes with up tilt, mid launch, and tack on extra damage. Well, the thing is that all the Xenoblade characters are super unique from one another, so I doubt that people are going to complain about them in the same way for Fire Emblem. I also legitimately hope that the next Fire Emblem character is interesting. Like, again, when I was watching that direct, the Bard woman, I think her name is Leda. She seems like the most interesting one, but I sincerely doubt they're gonna go with her. Back throw. We're gonna call Ghost Strike. Elma will rush past the foe. Disappear into the shadows. Or reappearing behind the foe and launching them with a double blade strike. This is Elma's closest equivalent to a kill throw, with it being able to kill most mid fighters at around 25% from mid-screen. Actually, that's up that to 135. And with overdrive active, it can potentially allow Elma to chase her foes. Moves like dash attack and forward tilt, much like her forward throw does normally. Let's see what else. And finally her down throw, we're gonna call this Soldier's Burial. Elma will sweep out post balance using one of her blades, or performing a vertical strike the other, causing the foe to bounce off the floor up into the air. This is Elma's premier combo throw, and a throw that and a combo option that has the potential to work until kill percent if used in tandem with overdrive. To be completely honest with you, by the way, I think that, also on the topic of Fire Emblem, I think that the, if that Angel character ends up being, like, the avatar character for Fortune's Weave, that's who's getting into Smash. Sadly. Could have had the cool bard lady that plays music and fights with swords, or you could have had the awesome queen character that picks up rocks and chucks them with one arm like she's the fucking Hulk. Or until kill percent used in tandem with overdrive. Throw is the main reason why grabbed by Elma can be a potentially deadly affair, but it's also a throw that can, let me word this better, actually affair. Stroke is the main reason why getting grabbed by Elma can be a potentially deadly affair. And will be the throw players will be using 90% of the time, thanks to how much offers Elma in terms of damage and general versatility. So Elma, that's pretty much Elma's kit already done, which compared to Metal Sonic, which took multiple streams in order to actually get through his full kit. She's notably more straightforward than Metal Sonic was to build. And I think I earned a simple character for once. Of a character whose video has a chance of potentially being below 40 minutes long. Speaking of Metal Sonic, is he the next challenger concept? Honestly, considering how much work still needs to be done on Okie Dokie, he very well might be the next challenger concept. Let's see, her character extras, a lot of this is just whatever. Victory theme. There's a lot of good choices. Honestly, if we're going to give her one, if... It's weird because Shulk uses, like, you will know our names. Pyra and Mithra use, like, the ending riffs of, like, the regular, like, enemy fight theme from Xenoblade 2. So the question is, do I want to go with Uncontrollable, or do I want to go with Black Tar? I think I'm going to go with Uncontrollable, simply because of the fact that that is the tune that's used in Xenoblade Chronicles 2 when you fight Elma. Feature animations, this stuff I'll work on in my own time. Colors. Of course, we gotta get, you know, the standard Elma standard. But not the light gear. I don't know whether or not I want to give her like complete outfit changes, or I want to just have her outfit change colors. I really like the way that her like basic outfit looks to begin with, and I don't really think it needs to change. Though part of me's like, you know what, if Shulk can get a swimsuit outfit, then maybe Elma should get one too. Anything else I'm missing for Elma so that I can call a wraps on this stream, and we can get to work on Elma's actual like poses next stream. I think that actually might be everything. I don't think there's anything else for me to cover. Again, this stuff will just be done on its own. Nope, I think that's pretty much everything. She's a pretty clear-cut character that can just become even better if you play the game well. Outside of the main three and a few other characters, a lot of noteworthy Zelda characters at one time. Do I think the next Smash will finally do something about the common complaint of Zelda being limited to the Triforce trio and their variants? It'd be nice. Of course, there are ways to exploit this. I know we're like 20 years too late at this point, but Midna and Wolf Link would work because technically Link is part of the moveset. And everybody loves Midna. Rauru is also a character that's like been named throughout the Zelda series, so he's not like a first-time character. To be completely honest with you, I have no idea. Though in my opinion, they should work on refining that Triforce trio first before they start wondering about who else they could add to it. Because it really says something when your best designed character is a character that is whose kit is completely made up bullshit. I'm talking about Sheik. What else? I think that's all she wrote, ladies and gentlemen. The first stream of the first episode of Challenger Under Construction, second Challenger. I need to find a better way to fucking word that because it's a mouthful. He's done. I feel that the more I do this series, the quicker and quicker these are probably going to come out, which is good. I also wonder how difficult it's going to be to work with Elma compared to Metal I don't see it being generally difficult. But given the fact that she's more humanoid, it might complicate things a little bit. I'm also going to need to go browse the SFM workshop in order to find the closest equivalent I can to a Skell. That's going to be interesting. I've just got to make sure I put a disclaimer like, this is supposed to be, I know what this looks like, it's a Skell. It's supposed to be a Skell, there are no available Skell models on the SFM workshop. So in about 2.5 hours, I unveiled Elma and her kit is already put together. I think the main thing that saved time here is the fact that her character mechanic is notably more simple to understand than Metal Sonic's. Metal Sonic's character mechanic, while simple at its core, had a lot more going on in terms of what needed to be explained. Definitely going to open the possibility of number 3 being a potential retread of a character I've already covered, though. I see Elma taking us all the way through the summer to get done. I won't be designing the Final Smash on stream like I did with Metal Overlord. That's something that I can cut out. But, I definitely think that she's going to be a character that takes us at least 2.5 to 3 months worth of streams in order to finish. And I think that if we can get into a groove where I start finishing these like every month and a half to 2 months, then I think that could greatly improve my productivity in terms of getting videos out. I also have no idea when Elma's video would come out after it's done, like all the poses are done, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But I think for now, I'm going to just say thank you for watching. I hope you're excited to see where this character goes in terms of her visuals being designed. And this is officially the first Xenoblade character off the channel. Yes, I know Noah and me have been teased for forever, but until that definitive edition, or I guess that Switch 2 edition, comes out in December, yeah, you're not gonna be seeing Noah and Mio probably until sometime next year. So until that happens, you'll have a character from Xenoblade Chronicles X to tide you over. Anyways, that's all from me for now. Again, thank you for watching. Definitely gonna have to change the banner in my Discord to now show the new challenger instead of just Mel Sonic. And I'm gonna go play Xenoblade Chronicles X and get more footage. I also got set up because we have D&D tonight, and I also want to do more work on my own D&D campaign that I've been working on tirelessly for the past couple of months. Still so much to do. So much to learn. So many aspects that need to be put into place. Depending on how much progress we make next stream, maybe I'll even boot up Xenoblade X and just stream it. Because it really is a game that is very distinct in its playstyle, especially from the other Xenoblade games that came after it. I don't know if I'd call it harder or easier, but it's definitely its own unique niche. And thank you very much, Kitchen. I appreciate that very much. I hope you enjoyed what you saw, and I hope you're excited to see where this character goes. I'm definitely going to make sure the character number 3 is a little bit more tricky. Because while Metal Sonic showed off a couple of aspects, they're pretty intricate. And there are some things to Elma that are intricate, but I want a character that truly feels like I'm showing you how far you can push the envelope with characters in terms of character design. I might bring back Darkrai as an idea, because that was going to be a character that really pushed the envelope. And I think the best way of showing people my creative process is showing them a character that's legitimately difficult to put together. Again, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But for now, our next few months at least are focused on Elma from Xenoblade Chronicles X. And next stream, we start working in SFM from the beginning. All right. That's all for me. Thank you again for watching. New videos coming soon. Hopefully you'll see a new video from me before you get another stream from me. Or at least another challenger under construction from me. But that will be all she wrote. And I hope that you all have a good one. And yeah, go outside. It's nice weather right now. It's gonna cool down this coming week. Okay, bye.